Today we're going to make a fruit cake using this preserved citrus peel that I made yesterday. The recipe you'll find on Atomic Shrimp on the website. I'll put a link in the video description to find this. The only variation from this recipe, which I'll also put in the description, is we're going to replace half of the fruit in this recipe with the mixed peel. So let's weigh out our ingredients. So we need 170 grams of sugar, 115 grams of butter or baking fat. I'm using a vegetable baking fat here because I've got people in my family who are lactose intolerant. Okay, now we need a total of 515 grams of mixed dried fruit. So that's going to be raisins, and normally that's raisins, apricots and so on, and some fresh apple. I'm going to replace half of that total with the orange peel. So I'm going to go for 515 is about 250 grams, 260 grams of this orange. So I'm just going to drain that to one side like that. We will actually use the syrup as well. 260 grams of the preserved peel. That's quite a lot of preserved peel, but we are going for deliberately orangey cake. Right, 250 grams of raisins. Then we want 225 ml of water, fruit juice, or water mixed with a dash of brandy. So for this I'm actually going to use the orange syrup to start with, for extra orangey flavour. Little dash of Spanish brandy in there. We'll top the rest up with water up to 225 millilitres. So now we need to get that all in a pan because we're going to boil this for the first part of the recipe. Got a big old pan here, and in goes our fruit, sugar and fat. In goes our liquid. Level teaspoonful of bicarb and a heaped teaspoonful of mixed spice. This is a mixture of cinnamon, cloves, allspice, nutmeg. Right, so now we're going to put this on a gentle heat and bring it to the boil and give it a stir. And what will happen here is that liquid will infuse into the fruit and the fat will melt into the mixture as well. Okay, and that's now coming to the boil, which means we're more or less done now. So I'm going to give that a really good stir. I expect that the butter will separate out from the rest of the liquid. That's completely normal. Okay, so that's come to the boil. Turn it off. One final stir. And then we're just going to put the lid on and leave that to cool now for probably a couple of hours. It needs to cool down to room temperature. Okay, it's time to finish this off now. So this mixture's cooled down to room temperature now. And as you can see, all the fruit has hydrated. So what we do now, 225 grams of self-raising flour, 2 eggs. And then we're just going to carefully stir that in until it's completely combined. So that's it, that's the mixture pretty much combined now. My oven is preheating to 170 centigrade. Right, that's ready to go in the tin. So I have an 8-inch tin here with a lift out bottom lined with reusable baking liner, but you can just use greaseproof paper or parchment, and this will just get poured into the middle there. So that goes into our oven, middle shelf, and we'll set a timer for 40 minutes. So that's been baking at 170 for 40 minutes. Already looking very nice, but it's still very wobbly. Now what I'm going to do now is just turn that round, just because the oven isn't completely even in its heating. I'm going to turn the temperature down to 160 and carry on cooking for another half hour. Right, that's been in there for an hour and 10 minutes in total, with the second half being at a lower temperature. Let's just test and see if it's done. No, that hasn't come out clean. That's how you test. That's a little bit sticky still at the bottom there. So that's going to go back in for another 10 minutes. I guess I'm getting used to this new oven, so we're just adjusting cooking times accordingly. That's now coming out without any uncooked cake mixture on there. There is a bit of stickiness, but I've got a feeling that that is actually just the fruit, because there's a lot of orange, sticky orange in there. So I'm going to set that aside now to cool down. So let's turn this cake out. We do that by, I've got a tall glass here. Just place that in the bottom of the thing and push down. This loose bottom tin comes apart ever so easy like that. And then these liners are reusable, so those will just go in the wash. And then just get a wire rack and we'll pull off the bottom paper. Yeah, that's very nicely done. Just turn it over onto the wire rack. So that's the finished cake. I'm going to leave that to cool completely before I cut a slice, and then we'll have a slice with a cup of tea, I think. So it's completely cooled down now. Let's cut a slice and see what it's like. Some of the fruit has sunk to the bottom, but not too badly. Going to cut a piece off actually, be a bit civilised. So let's have a taste of this. It's incredibly moist, it's still slightly warm. That's really good. It's intensely marmaladey. That's a really nice cake. Very, very moist, very fruity, really zesty, orangey. A slightly bitter marmalade taste. It's really nice. So I can thoroughly recommend preserving orange peel and making this recipe with it. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.